Ahoy! This is the expression that comes through the mind of Jean Grey, the X-Men lady, when she's expressing her powers and thinking deeply like an X-Man sometimes does. Yeah, so what we're getting at today is trying to take a little bit of a sidewinder mission where we're going to flip the script on the nature of business and how we're trying to focus on the future of developing Digitech and Trade for Game Studios as a business in the future in the world, in the Asian part of the world. And so, in the upcoming couple months, what we're trying to do is sort of conceptualize how to connect with the aspects of connecting business with gamification and appification and developing also like an NFT gamification at the same time, which also sort of combines the mysticism aspect of this podcast of Digitech and Trade for Game Studios and Digitech and the Nature of Love, which corresponds to Harry Potter and like a sort of a card game in essence that corresponds to like real life magic in essence, like the game of magic, but it's a card game. But like in Harry Potter, if this was within the movie of Harry Potter, it would be like a card that was alive. For example, it had life in it to it. It would have like the newspapers in Harry Potter are moving, they're alive, they're animated, for example. So in this instance, in this episode of Digitech and Change in the Nature of Love, we're trying to illustrate something which is similar to X-Men cards, because there's energy within X-Men cards, because it's similar to the show, because all of the X-Men characters have different powers and such things, and they're all mutants. So in essence, it's a little bit similar to that in terms of how we're trying to convey what we're trying to focus on in terms of like a future, in terms of appification, in terms of developing these type of trading cards into like an appification, not quite like an NFT, although an NFT is similar to an app. It serves a purpose, it has a functionality, it has a code behind it, it has a contract behind it, an NFT in essence, but we're trying to combine NFTs and trading cards and gamification with, in essence, appification and developing an application, and because in essence there's an element of code, there's a story behind an application, there's an element of functionality, and that process is something that we're trying to emulate. And what we're talking about in this episode of Digitech and the Nature of Love, which corresponds to the essence of trying to, similar to something that I was thinking about doing with credit cards, like being able to develop a trading card sleeve book for credit card that I'm trying to stack in the future and get a few different credit cards, for example, that have to do with then being able to characterize the value of each different card. And having like an old X-Men card book sleeve, for example, is something that would be aligned with the type of analogy that I was thinking of, to be able to also align with the nature of the origin of this podcast. So, for example, in essence, I would have different credit cards that would also correspond to different personalities, because it would also correspond to different streams of flow, of monetary energy flow, which would also serve different purposes. And those streams are meant to cross like the Ghostbusters, and the Ghostbusters animation show. Oh yeah, you're not supposed to cross the streams, except in this one we want to cross the streams, because we want to develop this explosion that expands around the world. There's a similar symbolic type of expansion of energy in essence that happens from crossing the streams of all the different people in the world. There's 8 billion people in the world, to be able to all have their own trading card in this instance, where everybody in the world has their own trading card in essence, because everybody is their own spirit animal in essence. And that is what this show has been all about. That's what Digitech and the Nature of Love has been all about. In essence, is trying to express this in the form of a company. And so at the same time, as we have been talking about, going forward into like the real estate market, or having like a real estate arm to our wing of like also being like a business broker on the front end, and also trying to promote the company and the brand from music, and hopefully some music type of performance, type of a flash mob philanthropy energy generation processes in terms of media performance, to be able to try to leverage the ability to bring awareness to the company Digitech and Change for Game Studios, Digitech Change for Games, that in essence it also corresponds to this conceptual trading game where we're in essence trying to appify all of the nature of all human beings' energies into the form of an application, yeah. And then at the same time, because it's like a trading card, it's like an NFT, yeah. And so it's like a gamification also aspect, because at the same time, many people around the world don't necessarily want their lives that they have necessarily. And so in essence, it's also corresponding, trying to trade characters and what their assets are in correspondence to what their livelihood might be on the back end of what a specific spirit animal's life is in a corresponding aspect of how it is in today's day and age. So it's kind of like an element of being able to try to blockchainify all of your assets onto the blockchain and tokenize all of your assets on the blockchain, which is not a brand new idea necessarily, but the corresponding concept of being able to try to become a spirit animal in the future, where everybody's possibly able to align with their own unique spirit animal, and that spirit animal also corresponds to something which can be elevated and processed in a more expressive and more unique fashion by being able to connect it with an actual animal, an actual dog or cat, an actual shelter animal, to be able to bring the shelter animals out of the shelter so no more animals have to die in the animal shelters, and those things become places that are like festivities because they are the center source for many animal energies. And all of the animals always 100% of the time will be adopted 100% of the time or fostered 100% of the time. So those places that are animal shelters will become a place of celebration in the future, in the short and the long-term future, hopefully, so, because it's all people needing to be able to express themselves through their spirit animal energy. And this spirit animal energy is something which isn't always aligned with a lifestyle that is currently held and had at the current time. So there's a personal and a business life that sometimes is shackling down these spirit animals from being able to realize themselves in the world. So just like we were talking about having an empty trading card sleeve and filling that trading card sleeve with different credit cards, for example, that also serve different purposes, those different business credit cards serving different purposes. So those business credit cards have different characterization almost to them, because almost like a tokenization of like a different coin, for example, or an NFT, for example, that serves a purpose on the blockchain. They all sort of serve different protocols and different purposes, sort of, so to speak. But in this instance, with our blank card sleeve holders, in essence, to be able to fill that with different credit cards, there's also different forms of value, expressions of value that hold different forms of value, that are different expressions, similar to NFTs in essence. So we're trying to take that credit card concept and mindset and being able to expand all of the streams of revenue streams into different small and big, different delineations of different fashions and factions that also, as a company, Digitech Change for Games, that we're trying to be able to leverage at the same time, from small to big, big to small to big, microscopic to massive aspects of monetary energy, and being able to leverage everything in between, and being able to have a menu item, like a sandwich menu item, for example. So we're doing business from the micro, small energy aspects of monetary energy business all the way up to massive scale energy transactions, where we're packaging significant amounts of assets and being able to try to help broker them along the pipeline, and being able to leverage Dinky Tech, the mascot, through performance and different philanthropy energy flash mob exhibits and expressions around the world at all given times, as continuous ongoing advertising for the brand Dinky Tech Change for Game Studios. So how we want to also sort of try to quantify this in terms of and also try to wrap this up in terms of a concept, in essence, is by bringing about all the spirit animals, all 8 billion spirit animals that are able to be brought about in terms of all the human beings that exist in the world, and all of their spirit animals, which is like the highest elevation or highest frequency element of each spirit animal, of each human being that's in the world at the current time and the current day and the current place, to where all of them are at their highest frequencies, more or less, and existing as businesses, more or less. And that is combined with their spirit animal energy, which is a unique spirit animal, which corresponds to the brand of the company, which would be representing the logo for that specific brand, which is one of the higher frequencies of that specific person, of all 8 billion humans in this planet, in essence. And also, 8 billion humans need to be complemented by 8 billion animals. 8 billion animals are able to cleanse the energy of all 8 billion humans by pairing them with animals to be able to give them the best medically aligned and medically optimized and spiritually healthy spirit animal wellness process of growth and persistence and consistency and alignment for consistently staying in line and paralleled with that spirit animal energy, which is an entrepreneur energy, which is something which is aligned with a purpose energy, which has to do with being more so aligned with the greatest entrepreneurship outcome possible by aligning all of the items in the world through something called ikigai. Ikigai is a Japanese word that has to do with aligning with money, with purpose, with interest, with things that you're interested in all one Venn diagram that sort of is able to coincide with each other to be able to develop something that has to do with what everybody can develop their spirit animal from. But they also need actual animal energy, so we can clear all the shelters, all the animal shelters in the whole world, and all human beings are able to align with that energy like it's medicine. All that spirit animal energy, all that animal energy, all those dogs and cats energy that is able and available to be be connected with human beings in the spiritual health sense of the word is possibly available to be connected to human beings like medicine. Like medicine, it comes through the air like medicine. And so people need that exposure to animals to be able to get that medicine directly piped in, and for all people to be able to develop a system where, in like the Harry Potter movies, for example, that all people and their trading cards are aligned with a personal and a business life. A personal and a business life means they have a home and they have a business home, and so they have both of these things. They have like a commercial building, possibly in the real estate sense, and they have a personal home building in the personal sense, and so they have lots of assets in the home personal sense, and then they have assets within the business sense. And so ultimately, those two things are shackles sometimes for people to be able to stay in their same position, and that is attached to their trading card. That is attached to their trading card, their digital trading card, their NFT trading card, which is also an application. It's an application because, in essence, all of the energy beneath that application is what that business and that personal life has become in the form of an appification sense through the nature of what's been built in terms of the assets that are in between the personal and the commercial side of every single individual in the world that exists at the current present time, because all human beings are at the current time connected to societies which are ultimately obligated by business and a business global economy to be able to participate in this global economy aspect of business. So personal and business, which is in essence intertwined, but both the personal and the business sides of people are typically things that are separated typically, and so that ultimately has two different sides of things. Even if people don't own full-on assets 100% of the time, there is this equation, this possibility to be able to have all of these assets be able to be aligned and packaged as one package, one lump sum of personal assets and commercial assets to be combined together into one lump sum, which is able to develop that trading card to develop a value so that every 8 billion people in the world all have values, and they can possibly just straight up trade. If values are able to trade, that possibly trading cards can just straight up be traded. So if somebody has a personal and a commercial life of different assets, of different real estate, and different a portfolio of different stocks, different bonds, different assets that are financial assets, one way or another, and they add up and they stack up to other assets in the world that people are able to trade their trading cards, and then it in essence sets the spirit animals free. It sets the spirit animals free because it helps the spirit animals become more aligned with their spirit selves, and that's the purpose of the game. That's the purpose of the Harry Potter game, is once the assets are able to be traded in our Harry Potter gamification of this concept in the Asian world, where we're trying to move in the direction of, hopefully soon enough, that in essence we are able to release spirit animals all around the world. And that's what the nature of the hope of our brokerage is meant to try to do, is to align people with their spirit animal appification, gamification, NFTification, conceptualization, to be able to connectify all of these conceptualizations together so that all of this trading card concept can happen, and that more spirit animals can become freed. More spirit animals can become freed, and that can add more value, because once those spirit animals are more aligned with their entrepreneurship purpose, and more so with the assets that are aligned with other trading cards that are connected to other human beings or other groups of human beings or other assets in the world, that when those packages are traded and those spirit animals are mostly or more or less more aligned with the lifestyle and the life attachments that are best suited for a specific spirit animal, that spirit animal is able to best contribute to the global philanthropy energy grid. The global philanthropy energy grid, which means they contribute the most philanthropy to the global philanthropy energy grid, which is what we're trying to optimize with all human beings, to be able to continue to contribute energy to the global philanthropy energy grid, all connected as one, to be able to continue to connect ourselves as one and unify ourselves as one human being planet through 8 billion people all being able to connect through this card game, where we're able to optimize ourselves by trading cards through fulfillment of assets, and spirit animals being able to be released in a digitized sense, in a simplification sense, to be able to free the spirit animals to be most aligned with their happiness, spirit animal ways, and try to optimize for 8 billion people on the planet also at the same time by optimizing the most important values and value systems to us all in the world. Global is one to live in this harmonious fashion. Thanks again for now. Digitech, bye, peace, bye. Digitech, Change for Games. Digitech, Change for Games Studios, bye, peace, bye.